So last time um, we spoke about the first gaming generations, which was the eight gaming generations video part one. So we went through the first three gaming generations for people who didn't know about this. I will give you kind of a brief summary of what happened during the video. So the first generation was the Magnavox Odyssey, the start of gaming where it was limited hardware, limited advancements to where you could produce games, and there's not really any sprites then. Second generation improved upon that, and the one thing that led it to having a mixed legacy was the video game crash of 1983, which we already know what happened over there, a saturation of bad games and stuff. The next one was the third generation, which was the NES and the Sega Genesis era, which I like to call the 8-bit era, or the retro era of games, the retro era of games that we got. So it's like Super Mario Brothers or Sonic the Hedgehog or any of those games for that matter. You can say those. Yeah. That is what happened in the first video. But what I want to talk about today what I want to talk about is the next few generations, which are generations 4 through 8. Um, so I want to look over what happened during those 5 to 8 those last few generations, which was the last generation through the fourth through the last generation, which was 4 through 8, and I want to see how this could. So let's get started. Now, as we looked at the last three generations of gaming, we we took a look at the first three generations of gaming and how that made an impact on gamers around the world. Um, Now I want to go over what the fourth through eighth generations of consoles had made an impact on gamers, which notably which was 4 5, which notably was generation. The reason being why generations 4 and 5 are the most notable, and why they are fascinating and very cool to look at. Sorry about my phone, but the fourth through fifth generations are the highlight of it, and the fourth and fifth generations brought new improvements to new things like the 16-bit generation, which was the 16-bit games you know and love. The Which was Super Mario World, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sonic the Hedgehog games, um, more Super Nintendo games, all that other stuff. Um, all that other stuff. So you can say that the 16-bit generation was a good one as well, which was the fourth generation as well. Then we move on to the fifth generation. The fifth generation brought new things to gaming as the as it was the future of gaming, as it was a blueprint for the future of gaming, which was 3D. Now 3D took off. Um Now you see in Super Mario 64, or you see in what is it, The Legend of Zelda, or any of those other games that you know and love, which was on the Nintendo 64 or on the Sega Saturn, or better yet, on the PlayStation 1, because PlayStation was a big part during the fifth generation, as it was just getting started, and many gamers decided to switch over as well with that, as it was the relatively new console of this generation alone. Following up with the claim that the first two gaming gener that the fourth and fifth generations were good gaming generations. I say this because many things are very technologically advanced, and many things were were brought at this point that many companies didn't see before, like the 3D, or like the 16-bit error that they have for their games. Like that didn't exist back then. That was a new thing back in the 90s. And during that time, it was regarded and well known, and plus at that point, in the years, it was considered the pinnacle future of gaming. So many franchises like Mario and Sonic were very apparent in the fourth and fifth generation of gaming, as that that was the time where they were getting competitive, and also in the equation during the fourth and fifth generation, there was a new company that was starting to thrive, which was PlayStation. PlayStation was relatively new during this time, and many people didn't recognize who PlayStation was during this time, and they were just getting started. But it was not until the PS2 when Sony was gaining traction. But but yeah, during the fourth and fifth generation, gaming companies are becoming very competitive, and also they wanted to increase sales during this point, and it was a very heated it was a very heated time in the gaming industry. Now let's move on to the sixth generation through eighth generation of gaming. So the fourth and fifth generation, like I said before in the third line, I want to dive into this a little bit more. Um, so the sixth to eighth generation of gaming was good in its time, and there was a lot of improvements that were done. Um, there was better graphics. There was better games for there was better games for these three generations alone, and and the one thing that that the six to eight generations were very good at when it came to having improvements was the improvement of switching from cartridges to optical disc, which you've seen optical disc on GameCube. The GameCube games had like a little disc, especially on the 360 and especially on the PS3, especially on all those other consoles as well. Um, those are very good in its time, and I would say, I think many people would agree on this too. It was the pinnacle future of gaming as well. It's it was very advanced at the time, and it was good at this retrospect. And I believe it's safe to say that this generation benefited a lot better than the fifth, better than the first five generations as well. I mean, the fourth and fifth did bring did bring improvements, but not as many improvements as the sixth through eighth generation of gaming. So I believe that is good as well. So